Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's high time to begin. My name is Grzegorz Juras. I'm representing Academy of Physical Education, and my first impression is that I'm delighted to be here, and I'm very honored to chair this session. I'm very glad because I can recall a moment when this European Center was established. During this event, Mr. President was here, and he said that this is a center for health and sport tech innovation. Because I don't know if director is so kind to agree with me. At the beginning, we were talking, where it was just a plan. We were talking about innovations in medicine and sport. From my perspective, of course, it's my perspective. It's very nice because of at least two reasons. First of all, you've got very nice extremes. You've got elite athletes, and this is absolutely out of range. And you've got clinical subjects or individuals with some deficits. And in this range of population, this range of material, you can find the most interesting phenomena and describe more detailed mechanism of human motor behavior and behavior at all. Anyway, the second reason why, from my perspective, it's nice to talk about sport is it's bad time for this conference because we are after lunch, so we should rest right now. And it's a second day, so everyone is a bit tired with what's going on from yesterday, from the morning. And talking about something different, it may be a reason to stay alive till the end of the session. So it's my honor to begin, and let me start with introduction of each panelist, and then same way I will invite to take seat in front of you. I will start with co-chair, Professor Jacek Jurkojć. Well, it's written that I'm chairing the session. However, at the beginning I was talking about the session, I was talking about panelists and topics and so on with Jacek. So Jacek, please sit down over there and be co-chair of the session. Actually, I told you at the beginning that we are in touch with each other, maybe not the same time, not the same space, but from time to time we have extraordinary occasion to discuss different topics because we are working on such a project dedicated to application of AI in prediction of injuries in young football players. And that's why, even if our background is different, sometimes we are trying to reach the same problems. Anyway, if we start from Jacek, now I will smoothly move to Dr. Remigiusz Rzepka, born in Knurów, so more or less citizen of Zabrze, or citizen of Silesia. Remig, please take a seat. Remig is Leonardo da Vinci of our time. First of all, he graduated our academy. But after that, he's still having enormous career in sports. I will mention many years with national football team. I'm talking about men, but right now you are still working with women. What is maybe even more challenging, but saying who is not working with him is a shorter list than just to list name by name. who is working with Remig. Right now, I'll just mention, for example, Eva Pajor, the best forward player in Europe or in world. What he got the last award. Anyway, Dr. Remigiusz Rzepka is now director for medical affairs in ENEL-MED, and he also serves as an expert for UEFA. Right now, I would like to invite my old friend, former rector of Academy of Physical Education, Professor Zbigniew Waśkiewicz. What is also important, he was serving as vice president of Polish Olympic Committee, and he was also president of Polish Biathlon Union. And among many functions, I will just add one more. He was chief of such a familiar for all of us football club, Górnik Zabrze. It was some years ago, but well, it's your CV, so what can I say? Last but not least, you know him very well because he's from here. Professor Piotr Wodarski, expert in VR, in motion capture, and also in data analysis from many perspectives. So, putting all together, we've got 2 + 2, but my background is not a technical one, so this is a nice session because of minority of engineers in it. I think that after that short introduction, we can start. I haven't got any ready to go written questions. However, we were discussing individually about interesting for the audience, for you, questions, and I will start with a question. Maybe Dr. Remigiusz will try to answer it. What's, in your opinion, the most useful, the most often used technology in diagnosis of sport performance and training process?
Welcome, everyone.
Working.
Okay, so we would say that the technology that we use in sports depends on the environment. We have different standards which are set for professional sport, and we have different standards set for amateur or youth level. But if we speak about the highest level, right now the golden standard is use of GPS units, which allow us to monitor locomotion of the players during the training or during the games. But not only GPS we are using in the sports, it's also many other markers like biochemical markers, which allow us to monitor fatigue or the state of the body before we compete. We are coming back to monitoring heart rate as an internal load on the body, which is imposed through the training or through the effort. So it all depends on the culture. It all depends on sometimes standard of operators, the coaches, data scientists, physical therapists, or fitness coaches. So it's pretty much well developed, but we are searching for more. We know that certain technologies have limitations, and we try to go around them. We are searching for new ways to apply more sophisticated ways of analysis of the data. So, for example, it's not only the GPS and the reports that are being delivered by companies which produce this, but also going around the raw data. We try to analyze more and see what that information can give us to coaches to make decisions, to make conscious decisions, sometimes risky decisions, but we want to have information in order to at least be aware, to discuss with the players, to discuss with the coaches, and to be able to compete.
Could you just, well, it's an additional question, but could you just tell in percentage how many of football teams and how many of sports organizations are using that kind of analysis according to your knowledge?
My first work with the Polish national team started in 2011 with the men's national team, and at that time there was only one club in Poland which used GPS units. Since then, when I started my second tenure with the national team in 2013, we applied GPS units for the Polish national team. At that time, the monitoring system for collecting the data was based on the video. We didn't wear the GPS during the games for some reasons, but at that time, 2 more clubs were applying this technology. Right now, all major teams in Poland, if we speak about football, soccer, are using not only in the major division but also in the first division, and you will find clubs which also use the GPS units at the second division or third division. So I would say that 100% of the teams at the professional level are using already the technology which was 12, 15 years ago not available for too many.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to address a similar question to Professor Zbigniew. Well, according to my knowledge, I'm pretty far from practical side of actual sport organization right now. But Remigiusz is saying us about a model, because I know that in our first squad, it is a group of 34, 36 people working on the final score. But this is our national team. If we just trying to compare it with even first division, it differs. It differs a lot. I've got deep information from 5, 6 clubs from this 16 bench. But what is your opinion and what is your insight from that system you know so well? How many of this technology, with different technologies involved in current activities in sport?
I mean that Remigiusz said, I think most of this, I can say from a different perspective, that we can say what's going on with data which we acquired thanks to this system, because it's a very interesting topic for now, because we don't treat this data as kind of privacy data. Remember that, of course, we can measure the distance, we can measure the speed, some other EMG protocols, we can measure some, let's say, health data, and finally there is no system who is in a sport clubs or even in the national teams who will protect the privacy of data of this athlete. When you go to the medical center, to medical service, to doctor, okay, our data is totally private. Nobody can see it even. In a sport club, there is no such a rules. I mean, there is no law at all at first, and then everybody can watch the data which we keep for the longer time. And that's the first question. What's happening with the data in our systems? Let's imagine that we are playing for 3 years in one club, and then we go to another club. So what's happening with our data? The club is still keeping our data, private data. Well, it's not a big problem nowadays, let's say, but with the use of AI, which is very popular and very often used in such systems, it will grow in a system that our private data will go to the, let's say, to the all the bases, to the internet even sometimes, and maybe some other AI models will be trained on our data. So we have to start to think what's happening with our private sport data in the system. That's the first question. I don't know any club or any representation would give the written permission to the, asking the athlete to permission of using the data. Nobody is thinking about it. And finally, when the player at least will go to another club, and after 1 year or 2 years, we will be playing against this team. So nowadays we have a data of athletes, our athlete, but he's playing in an opposite team now. So what's going on then with our data? Okay, it's kind of a spy game, but well, it's not a big problem now, but we can think what will happen in 5 years or maybe in 10 years with our private data, and that is one thing. And another one is that the use of this data can be kind of a bias for athletes, because the systems which are used, they are mostly used on a high-level athletes. I mean, let's say, as Remig said, national team, maybe the first division team, and that's all. And in some clubs, maybe the people will use this data as a reference data for our athlete, and then maybe probably some athlete will not sign a contract because AI decide you are too weak for our club. And he said, why? I'm the best one at this level, but say, okay, data says something different. Of course, I'm saying some abstractional issues now, but it will happen immediately. You will see it will take not maybe years, maybe months or so whatever. So once again, it can be some, at least can be biased, because the AI will be trained on data which are probably not from it will be underrepresented. And that is another problem with this data, what I say. And I think the third one is that most of the athletes have no idea what kind of data are measured, how they are measured, what is kept in the system. And once again, it's also kind of such an asymmetry that the owners of the club, the trainers, the coaches, the people from the club have much more power on the athlete than on the system. So it's kind of ethical and also low asymmetry in the rights. So it's another question about the data which we use from the systems.
It's very important, but I think we come back to this topic, to this question concerning ethics. But I would like to come back to this what is connected with quantities which we measure, because. As it was mentioned by Remig, by Professor Juras, that we've got plenty of quantities which are gathered, which are measured, which are collected during at least one cycle of training. And here we've got two problems. One of them is that we have to do something with these quantities. The second one is that the staff which is responsible for players, for sportsmen, they have to collect this, they have to write it down or upload to some computers. And here I've got two questions. One of them to Professor Zbigniew. How we can help trainers, how we can help staff, what should we do to enable to work with this large, huge amount of quantities which we gather? Because we say about GPS, we say about some other measurements, some other devices which we use. So we have plenty of quantities, plenty of parameters. And now the first question is what we can do, how we can help these trainers to work, to upload all these quantities to some, let's say, programs, applications which process these quantities.
First of all, we have to persuade coach that is at all useful data, because there still exists a lot of coaches which are not very, let's say, very deeply related to the data, because they think they know better something. That's the first question. Another one is that most of the data comes from the software done by, let's say, scientists at least scientists or some technical guys, and they are inventing many measured quantities, many measures which are possibly used. And then the coach can sit with a specialist, I mean, let's say the data analyst in the club, and he say, I have 45 variables, and I'm thinking that variables 72 and 21 are important. And that is completely wrong. And then we have to have a really good data analyst, which will be able just to pick up, let's say, 5, 6, or 7 on the base of the scientific research, which are useful and which are really practical for the coach. And finally, we also see, Remig is also know that you can see a lot of times that at the bench there is sitting like 2 guys watching some tablets or some computers, everything. And the coach, let's be honest, he cannot, analyze like in a volleyball that, okay, we have we are statistically powered that we have 17 or no, in football games it doesn't work like this. And this analysis is very related to the emotion, to the game, which is changing all the time. So I'm honestly saying that it's good for analysis after the game, where we can analyze what happened in the game, like, I don't know, I think if it's 6, 7, or 8 quantities which we are measuring during the competition, it's maximum, I think. And even then, it's very complicated, because there will be some games where we will be running a lot, and we just lose the game. because something different happened during the game, and that was the reason why we lose the game. So it needs also some bright thinking. What was really important during this game? You know, that not only statistics. Of course, if you have like 25 games, 100 games, the statistic will be useful for our, let's say, measuring our efficiency. But during one game or two games, I think it's mostly biased also by different external factors.
Yeah, because this question is Professor Juras mentioned about the project which we conduct, and one of the main problem I think is that there are some technical problems, some other problems, but I think that one of the main problems is this connected with lack of time. Here I mean trainers, I mean staff which is responsible for collecting data which we want, which we need to do some our calculations to upload this data, and here that was that question here which I asked, and if we continue this, how can we help these trainers? And here I address this question to Professor Wodarski. How can we help trainers to cope with this huge amount of data? What can we do as engineers in order to enable to show or to give some tools which can help these trainers cooperating with us? I mean us as engineers, but cooperating with some people who, for example, want to develop some programs, some applications, or some new methods, and want to implement this in, let's say, football teams or some other games.
I will give some time, Piotr, to think it over. In the meantime, I would like just to make such an impression that we've got already two main barriers. First one is individual and organization approach, and another one is applied and scientific approach. So some of these problems exist only on the approach of what we are trying to apply, and don't worry about, for example, any ethical problems in general. So speaking frankly about these things, it is very important to notice that this is absolutely interdisciplinary problem, and we cannot just look at the AI or technology only from one perspective. However, we are at this point, and Piotr, as an engineer, is probably going to say us with enthusiasm, or not. I don't want to suggest your answer, but I believe in technology as well. But we should work together to think about where is the right address of our efforts. Is it owner? Is it I don't know, spectators, or just football player? Piotr.
Yeah. During realization this kind of project, we observe that we've got a lot of teams. The teams practice every day, and we collect a lot of data. Even though the data are really simple, because they are from accelerometers, we can calculate different factors. But when we've got big database, it's difficult to us to analyze everything in traditional way. We are obliged to calculate different factors, and we can use special dedicated software for it. The softwares are known in our profession, in biomedical engineering, and we can transfer different solutions, different factors into the to the sport, and help trainers to find information, to extract the really important information for them directly from the big database. And statistical analyzing is the first attempt, and it was mentioned before. It is used, and it is quite popular on the whole world. But new attempt, modern, is creating using new technology and creating solution using, for example, artificial intelligence. But we should know that if you want to use artificial intelligence for different solution, we've got input and output data. Input data, you know, is data directly from the match. But output data, we should ask what is really important for us and create the problem. For example, we can predict problems with body overload problem during the match, for example, for player, and it is the output of our data set, output of system supporting output of our preparing software. When we've got this kind of information, we should have special people, can be trainer or physicians or doctors, can create the output database, analyze the input data, create output database, and create labels for the data. When we've got this kind of set of the data, we are able to implement models of artificial intelligence and to use for the special solution. But it's needed to have a lot of input data and output data. We've got problem with the output data because we should spend extra time for doctors or trainers should spend more times, and is the problem in our environment to create a good label and to find good different situation can be connected with these labels. But we've got the models, but collecting the data takes time. And we could observe that in these systems we are able to support, but it's needed to spend more time and analyze a lot of data. You mentioned that it's difficult with the data because teams don't want to share the data with us. Very often it's difficult to create good label because we've got different opinion about the same situation. And is that the problem we should solve when we want to create this kind of systems? Because solutions, we know, is a model. Models which are able to create, which are able to cope with big data and create different solution, but the model should be learned. Is our big challenge nowadays.
Okay, so we've got another perspective. If you don't mind, I would like to stay for a couple of minutes longer at the level of some basic question. Where is science? Let me be more specific in this question. We are at one of the 10 best Polish universities, and I was attending here in many discussions about is it a proper thing to plan a current visit or a current presentation of knowledge and practical skills of one of you at the surgery space. So is bioengineering going to this direction to get this not smooth but very firm connection with medical part of our life? I'm talking about this because we are sometimes thinking in such a bad manner that medicine is something serious and sport is less serious. It's more or less fun. It's not fun. It's like cars. You can play with different cars even with go-karts. However, if you would like to find the best solutions for the small cars, you have to find it during Formula One events. And this is a right place to make a real research. So working with sport, it is a very narrow gap to not to damage the whole system, both from ethical and from business side as well. I have an open question for volunteers. What do you think about younger generation and junior sports and junior football, or at least even individuals in different disciplines? Remik.
regardless of if the young person will be professional athlete or not, we know that 80% of Forbes 100 richest people played sports in their time when they were younger. So now we consider sport to be a very important part of the life. We like to watch it. Each of us have specific sports which like to follow. But we also know that in order to make it fun and attractive for a young person, it has to be safe. So we watch from this perspective that we want to make it safe for the young people to participate in a sport. And we also need the same approach of monitoring young people sports activity. And this is where we also apply the new technology in order to make it just safer. Whether that person will go to the professional sport, this can be 50-50 chance. Does the person have a talent? Does have a capacity, potential to develop as a professional athlete? We don't know. There are so many different factors, not only physical, but also cognitive environment in which we are brought up. So it's really important for us to approach in the most, so to speak, professional way to the sport of the young people in a at high school level, at college level, in a kindergarten, because it's an important part of our life. So I think that we should not only watch and be attracted by professional sport, but it's also important for us to follow what's going on at the lower levels, younger people, because it's for a safety, for well-being, and for many other reasons. The sports for young people is important.
Okay, I can see another perspective. I'm sorry, it's a serious problem. It's a perspective of parents. We are sitting here as humble fathers of one or two cohorts of kids. And it's good to know that my daughter, for example, is talented. However, it's a bad thing to know that she's not talented. And at the level of parents, it is cruel to say that it is not the proper way to play with that or that. So the ethical point of view is out of range, and we cannot just forget about what you are doing here. So I personally admire your job as people that can build some models, build some big data set, and so on, and I believe in that. However, where is a human? So just to end this ethical
if I may, I would like to add one more thing to this too, which you mentioned, that as a parent as well. I think that very important is that I know that the trainer, for example, is not going to, let's say, injure or kill my kid. And here I think this biomedical engineering, which we are talking about here, we can check if we use this biomedical engineering, we can check if this training process, if these exercises and so on, they are really proper, they are according to the current, let's say, state of my kid. Because I've heard from some trainers some years ago that when we are talking about some measurements, some possibilities of using of such equipment which we have here, that they say, oh, I've got, literally translating, I've got a nose. And I know how to lead these kids, I know what to do, how to train them. But this training process and this selection was that if a kid was seriously injured and wasn't able to practice this sport anymore, so okay, this sport wasn't okay for him. And so here I think that it's the first main reason where we can use this biomedical engineering, where we can use measurements, which we use equipment, which for example have here, or to protect kids from being seriously injured, for example.
Okay, so let me just interrupt you before Zibi will answer the question. I have just fresh idea. Mr. Director, Mr. Professor, you should vote for practice in not only medical institutions, but also in, for example, sport institutions. Then you will find even more interesting cases, and it is very useful for such an open-minding and for such a thinking about not only digits, but also human being standing just behind this digit. Professor Zbigniew?
If I may, so
Yes, sure.
since you decided to call me here, if I may, I would like to just say a couple of words. For sure, I absolutely agree with the statements you provided already. However, for sure, since we are dealing with the biomedical engineering in general, for sure, we just we think of that as a whole holistic concept. So for sure, the engineering part that we're dealing with every day is just a crucial one, just to find a technical solution how to help people. However, we still are open-minded, and actually this discussion panel is a huge example of let's say a completely very broad and very comprehensive approach here, including sports, including biology, including different systems, and of course also when we talk about humans, because actually as a matter of fact it is human-centered in fact, even though we just consider it as a, let's say, pure engineering actions, nonetheless it is, we don't need to forget that it is human-centered, and if so, for sure this physical activity is crucial here, and actually luckily for sure the Department of Biomechatronics is dealing with that, let's say, almost every day in part of activities. However, also a mental health here we are dealing with, of course, in incorporating issues regarding neurological diseases, etc., etc. So in my understanding, this is very good, and that we decide to go towards follow this path into the given direction. Once again, as I've said, when at the center of our interest is human. So thank you very much for this discussion.
Thank you. Professor Zbigniew?
I think that first of all we have to think what is going on with our young athletes, young people, young kids. Generally we are in the middle of the catastrophe. Current generations, 10 years old, 15 years old adolescents are completely most of them, in complete catastrophe about the overweight. They are not active physically. If you compare data from nowadays and 20 years ago, they jump shorter, they cannot even hang on the bar. At the same time, everything is totally decreasing. I mean that the population nowadays is completely in a worse condition. I even don't say about the healthy status, but I mean about the physical activity. And it's decreasing and worsening all the time. It's obvious because if you look around I'm the generation when we return from school, we just put the bag to the home and we go outside for the activity, whatever it was physical activity, and probably most of us was just taken home, like being dark and mother or father just taking home, and we didn't want to go home. And nowadays parents have to do everything to put the kids outside of the home. I mean, they have to drive them to some training, to anything, because kids, most of them are not interested in this. And so if we are saying that we are now working in a sport, so I'm not saying about the normal activity like biking or whatever. So honestly, I have to tell you that I have a lot of my friends which working in a different sport disciplines. There are only 2 disciplines which have enough candidates at a decent level to be taken care of practice. One of all is of course soccer, which is or football is everywhere very popular. Another one is swimming. And swimming because most of the parents know that it's very good that my child will learn swimming and maybe it's good for their health. The rest of the disciplines, maybe some guys remember we have the biggest country about the weightlifting, about the wrestling, about many sport disciplines. Nowadays, nobody wants to practice this. And because it's boring, it's sweaty, it's smelling and everything, and kids don't want to practice such a sports. And that is kind of a tragedy. We are saying about the next step of our action, but you say about the healthcare, about the doctors, about biomedical engineering, and so on and so on. And first of all, our new young generations are growing very sick, obese, and absolutely not interested in physical activity. And if we put from this sample some number of athletes for the practicing, for the coaching, then you can imagine that 25 years ago, what was a quality of the sample, and what now is the quality of the sample which coaches have to work with. So what you are saying about the young clubs, I mean the youth clubs, when we work with the kids, nowadays most of the clubs take everybody to the practicing. If anybody wants to come to the club, most of the clubs take everybody. It's healthy, it's obese or tall or small, they don't care. They want to have at least anybody in their practicing. So going further with all the analysis about the very scientific stuff, we have to remember that we work on the totally different level that it was 25 years ago or even 10 years ago. It's worsening. And of course there are countries. Look at Croatia. Probably you've been in Croatia. It's a country which has 2.5 million people. They are good in all of the sports. In a team sport, in a skiing, because one mountain, let's say, and every kind of sport, and 2.5 million people, because they have a totally different philosophy of living, of taking care about the kids, and that are also the, let's say, the avenues when you also should be careful and just taking care about it, what's going on with our children, and all about the activity and health.
Okay, life is cruel. So let me address a question to the audience. Be brave, don't be shy. The question is, who was attending at least 60 minutes physical activity last week? Please rise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Minority. So if there is just one key point to take out after that panel, just remember footballers are just machines to move. But you're also same human machine to live. And what is life? Life is a movement. So doesn't matter if you're a priest or an AI expert or a scientist, you have to move to be a better priest, better expert, better scientist. Jacek, your turn.
Yeah, my turn. I'm an engineer, so I think I will focus on this. I should focus on this, but listening to you, I was wondering, because we say that it's not so. It should be. It should work in another way. We've got such kids. We should bring them up in another way. But what is this another way? What can we do? And maybe if you say that we've got such problems, maybe you thought about this. Maybe you've got some solutions. What should we do as parents, as teachers, to convince these kids, to convince, for example, here students, which we've got here, and with this minority who did some exercises. What should we do? How we can convince them to do more exercises? Do you have any idea how we can do this?
No, it's not only my idea, because this system is solved in many countries. I mean, like in Croatia, you have to participate. Every student, every kid has to participate in any sport till being 18, once per day. Everybody have to swim till the 8th grade in a school. Yesterday, I saw the interview with a girl which was moved to Iceland, and he said that they have to go swimming at least one per week every year, even in the winter. Of course, it's kind of the crazy ideas. I understand this. Of course, we cannot do this, but the problem is in our Polish system. Most of you probably didn't participate in normal physical education. Till the 3rd grade, the physical education is done by teachers. They are not a specialist. Okay, so what to do? They go for the walk to the park, sometimes maybe some games somewhere. They are not specialists. Then we go to the schools. Most of the schools is overloaded with the kids. There is 3 classes in one at the same time during physical education. So, our system is not persuading and not teaching the kids to be active. So then we move to your question, and of course the parents should do this job, because, the Polish system doesn't do it. So we have to know that, first of all, these parents have to be active. That is a problem, that mostly Polish people are not active. So how they could teach their children if they're not active? Remig said about the very important thing. Most of the successful business people was training any kind of sport in the in the youth, and also are very active. It's not the accident. It's obvious, because the sport teach you a style of life, a style of work, and gives you much more conditions. So the main important thing that the parents has to teach children to be active, to participate in sport. They have to finance it, unfortunately, because Polish system don't give you a free, I don't know, swimming lessons or horse riding, whatever you want. You have to pay for everything. But I hope that this system will change in a way that in some countries everything is for free. In British system, every kid is obliged to use at least one sport per day, 2 hours. In the United States, there is school system of competition. School is competing against another school. Every kid has to use physical education. Of course, the United States also has a problem with obesity. But I always say, if you want to see what the kind of the young generations look like, go to universities in the United States. Most of the people are very healthy, very sporty, in a good conditions. The problem begins when they start to work, they go somewhere to another societies, and then it's worsening. So unfortunately, the parents has to work with the kids and motivate them and create them the idea that the sport is very good, not only for their health, also, as Remik said, for the cognitive function, for thinking, for intellectual development. It's very important. And also social, because if you go to any organized events, your kid is socializing with other kids in a most appropriate way. I mean, making something fun and so.
I think that you can notice that some of us sitting in front of you, we are freaks, so we are active. But talking about activity, physical activity, my colleague is not a good example because running in high mountain is not for everybody, but for example, dancing is for everybody. And why not to dance? Okay, you don't have to travel to Alps every week to do some huge challenge. However, why not to dance every day? And this is an open question. However, I would like now to switch to Piotr. And Piotr, this is a very challenging question. Tell us, what is your proposition? Which technology is for everybody to start with to be more active? What is ready to be sold? What is ready to be advertised? And from your perspective, please.
I listened to my colleague, and I still wonder, because I am representing technical part of the discussion. I should say that we live in the best time ever imagined. Our children live in the best time. I should say that never in the history children has access to the technology. We've got smartphone. For me, is the best solution for us. Good application dedicated for our program, motivating us to do something with our body, to do exercise every day, to create program for getting any skills during the time, to remind me every day that I should do something. Everything can be implemented in the small device. We've got the device always with us. It is important to use the device in an appropriate way. Of course, we can say that according to our parents, it's important to increase awareness of the people how to use these systems in appropriate way, how to use the smartphone in appropriate way. And it is important to increase motivation of the people, maybe by habit. You mentioned that we can add it to the school. We can add special exercise with, for example, smartphone, and transfer the exercise into our home. Every day, children at the evening, for example, my children at the evening use the smartphone for playing the music, for doing counting how many, I don't know, how many times was repeated some exercise. For example, my son trains martial art, and we do something many times, but we use smartphone to count it, to do the repetition, and for example, we can use it in use it with music, and it can be special designed what we can do. But there is a lot of different solution in the application. We should use it, but it seems to me that it should be added for the education, of course.
Okay, so same or similar question to Remik. One young boy is coming to your office, and okay, it's a young athlete. What is your first questions concerning technology? What is your first tips? What to use to be more, educated from this part, this point of view, and what do you want from him actually?
We have now a situation when professional technology is available for practically everyone. So if you're a young football player training in Górnik Zabrze, but the team in which you are training doesn't have a GPS, you can buy it online. It has the same technology like professional athletes have. So you can benchmark yourself against top Premier League players. I will not mention the name of the company, but you can buy online GPS unit, and the software will show you, when you play the game, how you benchmark yourself against top players in the Premier League. So this is available. So that can be motivation for your athlete to train more, of course, in a reasonable way. Then we need to be realistic. Not every training session performed by coach is the best session that the player can do. But you have your dreams, so you want to train more, harder in order to succeed. So, for example, using heart rate monitor will allow you to know if the intensity was appropriate, if it wasn't too low, so you can maybe add some extra time of your training just to perform better than you did at the training session. And that is important on all, or I would say a different way. It works if you're educated. But the more educated you are as a young athlete, the more chances are that you will succeed because you will do things better. So the technology is out there. I think that as professionals, we need to just spend more on education. The technology helps us to motivate players, but if we switch off GPS, if we switch off heart rate monitor, we still can do a pretty good, reasonable training session. But that comes from our knowledge and the experience. So in my perspective, I use technology, but I also pay a lot of attention to education of coaches, education of athletes, how to use it and to be smart with it.
Okay, just to your knowledge, you are listening to one of the best PT experts in Poland.
But I would like to continue this because you said that you use this, that we've got plenty of more modern technologies. So if we, as an engineers, what can we do else? What do you need as a trainer when you work with your football players, for example? You've got this modern technology, you've got plenty of quantities, you can assess this player. Do you need something more? What do you expect from technology, what you don't have currently? And in your opinion, could be something what can, for example, change your way of training, show you how to work better with this football player? Do you have an idea about something like that?
Yes, I think that the lower level we go, from professional level to the youth level, I think that we can prepare through the data which we collect in the different projects or environments. We can try to create a model of how to train effectively. We can create a model how to train safely. We can evaluate status of our young athletes just to understand if they are in a good shape or not, just like Zbigniew mentioned, that right now the generations are just less and less active. So just not only for a sports career purpose, but also for the safety, for our health status, we should move more. So if engineers can help us to understand the process of training, the status of the athlete, young person, we can just have more information to make conscious decision and conscious planning of the activity. Most of my experience working with the young athletes who are coming for me for evaluation is that they don't train hard enough. And how we know this? We know because they can train more. They can develop better. So if we don't monitor then we don't know if they can do more or less. Or sometimes the pendulum can go on the other side and we can train too hard. So we also have to be mindful of this situation. So if I, as a coach who don't have access to technology, have some indications, then I can just work more effectively with my athletes.
I would just add an example. Can you believe that Lech Poznań, actually they won with GKS Katowice last night, they decided to get American physical conditioning expert to the football academy. It happened last January. At the first week when he came to the club, he decided to increase intensity of training low at a level of 40%. Not 4, not 14, 40%. So coaches and experts, PT experts and physio experts, we all need some evidence that there is still something to add. And before Zibi will add something to this part of the discussion, I would like to ask Remig just be cruel and challenge them. So put them some difficult ideas for future diplomas. What to prepare to be useful in elite athletes, in elite sport, as a technology. What is your dream to have such a magic model of something which is full of multi-data, whatever?
I just visited last week my friend in Chicago, and he's head of performance for MLS soccer club in the United States. So right now they are using some advanced calculations from data collected through GPS units in order to see more from the locomotion standpoint. So not only running straight forward, but also in a curved non-linear locomotion, so to speak. So I would like to have this available at the snap of my finger right now. So if we come to this point that we are wearing technology that allows us to monitor locomotion, for example, in football, but then we don't also train football, I would say that let's make it more available for those who play indoor, so basketball, volleyball, handball. So let's make this technology available, cheap, so everybody, not only professional athletes, can have access to it, but we can educate our athletes, young athletes, to show them that they can train effectively, they can train more in any sports. So the technology is not only for the richest, but also for everybody. It's not counting the steps. We want to be a little bit more advanced. But we need this technology available for everybody. So everybody become athlete, not only young person, but also my mom who is 75 and other people. So we can really monitor the movement for a good reasons.
Okay, so Professor Zbigniew, what kind of data?
I wanted to say that we have no excuse, guys. I can say that most of you can have a watch, which is your coach, your health doctor, you're monitoring everything. Of course, you can buy the watch for, I don't know, 50 euro, or you can buy the watch for 2,000 euro. It depends what you want to receive and be more fancy or not. My watch was like 600 euro, and it monitors my heart rate, my oxygen saturation, my sleep, my everything. And of course, it's also packed with AI, which calculates that I should sleep today 9 hours, 14 minutes, because this day I was very nervous and I cannot rest today. And the next training session shouldn't be 2 hours and 50 minutes, but because you are tired and you didn't sleep well. Okay, so it sounds funny, but okay, trust me, I think that till the very, very high level of professional athletes, we need only watch. If I want to make my EKG, electrocardiography, I can use my belt, who costs 50 euro, and it makes me a cardiography which I normally go to the hospital. It can be done. when you add another sensor to the belt, it will calculate, because it's very precise accelerometer, and he will calculate how many times, how many milliseconds I was the right foot on left foot, 1,000 steps, million steps. It calculates everything. And then you go to the website when you can pick up girl or boy who will be your coach. I mean, of course, we are checking the AI, and they calculate our yearly plan. Because you did so many long session, short session, intensive session, not intensive, you are lacking the anaerobic, and so on and so on. So nowadays, as intellectual people, we have no excuse, guys, that we cannot train because we don't have technology. We have all of technology necessary. No, okay, we have to be under the control of the doctor. No, this watch is kind of a doctor, of course, not finding all our problems, but most of them he can find out. And well, I cannot afford to have a coach. Okay, you can afford it. It costs like 90 euro per year in a Training Peaks application, which is very good also for professional athletes. So if we are weak, if we are not active, and we are not training, it's only our fault. So technology, I think, is at the edge, mostly at the edge. I cannot imagine what solution could appear in the next years, in 5 or 10 years, to normal people, let's say. Of course, for the professional athletes, there will be kind of some technological solution to how to improve the training conditions, how to measure some things during the professional, I mean elite athletes, where the, says milliseconds or small amounts of something decide about the success. But on the, let's say, lower levels, I think technological, I cannot imagine what we should expect from the engineers and so on to be more, accessible.
So, Jacek, I have a question for you.
I wanted to ask a question to Piotr, but okay.
And for Piotr, okay. Is it anything impossible?
Yeah, this is what I wanted to ask Piotr, because Zbigniew said that we are at the edge, and now, so what for we are here? If we are at the edge, and that's the end of all these things which you can imagine or invent or design. I think that it's not that we are at the edge. I remember when I was a young boy, my dream. I still remember this. I was in the train, and there was a football match, and the only way to watch the football match was a TV set at home. No other possibilities. I was in the train, and I said to my mom, "Mama, I dream about a device which would enable me to watch this football match here in the train." I still remember this. And now I've got something like that, and when I go with my kid, go with my boy, so we can watch any ski jumping, for example. He's a fan of ski jumping, and we travel by car, and at the same time we watch this ski jumping or football match. And that was my dream, and now I've got such device. And now I think that if we say about our dreams here, if we've got some dreams, so we don't realize that in a couple of years it might come true, that maybe we or maybe our kids will use this. And here I think that Piotr maybe even answered this question better. Do you have an idea about such dreams which may come true in the future? What we can design, we can invent, and we can give this to sportsmen or maybe to all of us.
This is a good solution we can transfer directly from the industrial area. 50 years ago, we thought that we know everything in the mechanics, in the solutions, until microprocessors occurs. It changed our thinking about the solutions. Nowadays, we've got good computers, we've got technology, we've got sensor with us, probably until someone changed our thinking. Change our thinking and change our attempt for the process of learning, for the process of increasing awareness about our body possibilities, and maybe it's needed to maybe something occurs what we are not able, what is not able at the moment, what we are expecting at. For example, maybe is practical using of the artificial intelligence. Yeah, this is our future, our following 10 years with the technology. Maybe in 10 years the technology help us to understand our body better, to obtain better solution, and to obtain better result in sport, for example. It's my dream to create systems, we are able to give us good advice what we should do in the next steps if we want to increase something. But it's difficult to do because it's needed to have good observation, good database at the moment, and we are working at. And the next step is taking the data and transfer into the answer, to creating this kind of solution. Maybe it's our future.
But you said about artificial intelligence. Do you, maybe you don't know, maybe you don't think about this, but what is the next step? Because in 60s, 70s, that was the first time when the artificial intelligence was mentioned, was named, but it was impossible to use it because of low power of computers. Now we can use this artificial intelligence. Is there another thing, another step after artificial intelligence, which you can imagine, which you can think about, what can be used in the future? Yeah. We cannot use it now, but maybe because of some reasons we will be able to use in the future.
At the moment, we are able for the artificial intelligence because of the computer power. Yeah, computer consumption of the energy. We are able to produce energy to do big calculation. We've got better solution of the microprocessors, and everything is ready for this kind of technology. And in the following 10 years, it seems to me it happened. Yeah, we will use this artificial intelligence for everything. Next steps is creating good systems, because in the sport we've got a lot of systems supporting of the trainers with data analyzing, but I couldn't observe good systems supporting the trainer using artificial intelligence. Creating the database, creating different labeling solutions, we are able to create good systems and put the level of supporting the trainers on the put the supporting of the trainers on the higher level. It seems to me that artificial intelligence did the next steps and create own solution. Maybe artificial intelligence help us to understand artificial intelligence in 10 years. It can be good solution because we can use the technology to create something what will happen and give us the possibilities to increase something in the sport or in the athletes, for example, in the footballs. Well, we could imagine 10 years ago. I don't know if the answer for the question, but
maybe yes. And then in this couple of years, this artificial intelligence will do exercises, which we are talking about, Grzegorz.
You know, classical movie. I had a dream. So my dream was that my private AI agent asked me early morning, how are you? And just after that, second question was, what's your plan for today? What's your activity plan for today? What have you planned for training? What are you going to do? Well, what's today? Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday, so I'm swimming. I will go for a swim at 8. What is your plan for today? So back to the technical point of view, you will probably, during your studies, will live together with agents. And I'm not talking about my colleagues, I'm talking about your digital agents. Am I right or not? It's happening. So I wish all of us to have such a nice agent to care about us and to ask about our activity. As I told you before, that's our deep need. So I don't know if it's possible, if you guys can do it in short time, but please.
It's possible, but the question is if we will be happy, if we're still happy with these agents.
Well, this is back to ethical problems. I will. However, not everybody will, but we should think about so-called curiosity-driven science. In general, it's our must, because we should think about systems. We should think about the big populations. We should think about nation. we should think about that level. At that level, we should think about something like big data and, okay, who cares about 4%? We should care about 96%. So I wish all of us to stay at that majority.
I think that it's the time to give a chance our audience to ask some questions, maybe.
Let's talk about your dreams. Well, it is what I said before. It is really important to look for inspiration in sport clubs. Okay, you can observe also birds, or you can observe playing cats, but go to sport clubs and you will find so many cases to solve. And of course, take-home message from me is be active, but Remig.
We are mainly here, our common denominator is movement, activity, physical activity. But I will say even more, like you mentioned, Grzegorz, that we should go to the clubs, that's one solution, but also if we are open-minded, we should go to the schools and observe the activity of kids in the schools. This could be very good inspiration. We lack activity. We know this, that the younger generation lacks it. So it's not only going to the sport clubs, in my understanding of the health, well-being, but also to the general population. Look how the physical education looks like. Maybe this will inspire you for some solutions. There are already solutions in certain environments. Like when you go to the good fitness club, you will see that all group sessions, training sessions are monitored through the heart rate. So we can already apply science, which Zbigniew mentioned is available for many years already, for a larger population. But if we speak about young people, let's just maybe think about how we can improve the quality of their activity, school, home activity, because this is where the technology, science should help us, because that's the future. This will also probably bring some thoughts or thinking about yourself. Okay, so these guys are talking that this is for our health. How much activity I'm currently doing in my life? Just a small talk.
And I think that there is another true thing, what Zibi said, that you will be parents in the future, probably most of you. And this is true that at least for my kids, in the sports, they are 8 and 11, but the sports which they practice are only these things which I showed them, but not showed them on TV, but this which I did with them. Together we are playing, we are swimming, we are climbing. Now they are, for example, to go to the mountains for a more than 20 kilometers excursion. And it's not a problem for them. But it's because when they were 3 years old, then we were together and I showed them and we walked together, for example. So this is very important. If you want to change something, I think that we should start changing ourselves, and then when we do this, our kids will be different. So this is very wise, I think, this is what was said here by Zibi.
Okay, examples work. We have a question, please.
Maybe not a question, I have a comment, because you are talking about dreams and about what can we do for the future for our young children, youth, students, everybody here. And my suggestion maybe in the talk, in the discussion, is that we should also think about systematic change from, for example, our side as teachers, the academics, university level. Our students, they have physical activity classes only during the first year. In most of times, during years of studies, the physical activity is lower and observe that our students are super occupied. They are not only studying, but they are also working. They have completely no time for sport. And they are simply super tired to do this. They are even not thinking about it. So I think that we should start also to think systematically how to enhance the 24 hours of the day and to protect the time for physical activity. That this is not a stealing the time from some job, from some time for family, but we need to say to people, to all society, that this is something that is must in your day. And this must be done systematically.
Yeah, you're right. It might be a culture, but I would like to say that nowadays there are less exercises, less lectures than were, let's say, 20, 30 years ago. But young students don't have time because they go to work. And we prepare our plans to adjust these plans to this, that the students go to work. So it's not only the problem of time, I think. Maybe it's a problem of culture, that it's not so popular to be active. But it's a problem of time, and is that young people go to work, and that's why they don't have this time. It's not a problem only because of they don't have time because of too many exercises or too many things which they do. Because as I remember, when I was a student, we had much more things to do during our study, and we still have time to practice some sports. Now there are less things to learn. They spend less time at the university, but they don't have time because of some other reasons.
So I think that we have an answer to your question, Greg. What the engineers can do. I think you have to extend the 24 hours day to 28 hours or something. You are engineers, do it. And then will be time for more activities. As you probably know, I'm very fan of Harry Potter. My children grow up with this. Hermione Granger did it. She can study in two places.
Okay, but I have a living example. So one of the biggest professors of your university, Professor Jerzy Buzek, maybe you were in a lucky position to attend the official opening of academic year for our Silesian consortium last week in Nospur. I can recall his first and I think only visit in our academy. I don't know if you were a rector or who was in charge in this time, but he came to our academy and said, well, I have to confess that I'm a bit ashamed because I'm here very first time, but I believe in so many values that are so important for you. And as example, when I was young, I was running. I was also I'm not sure if he did horse riding or something like that, but he was so sure in that what he was saying to us. Without physical activity, I wouldn't be able to go to lab and become a professor. I wouldn't be able to run our government for almost 4 years, okay, 3.5. So physical activity, it's something you should focus on, not only to work on high-tech items to be added to this PA, but also to be added to your life. And well, I can't say anything more because I told you at the beginning that I'm a freak. So I would like to think it over and deeply answer the question: what is your aim? What you would like to achieve? And believe me, with physical activity, you will achieve it faster, or you will achieve it at all, or you will achieve more.
Yeah, yeah, from the technical side, we discuss a lot of problems. You can imagine that how many problems we have, we can have the same amount of the solutions. It is chance for you, it is challenge for you, because you are engineers, most of you. you are engineers, you can create the solution for the problem to be rich, to be happy, and to create the better life for all of us.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to swim tonight, so I have to end the session. But you've got all of us at emails. I would like to thank our experts and you for listening and not sleeping. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.
Goodbye.